Hello, my name is Anders, and I was just talking to my team, trying to get them rallied. We're making maybe 100,000 a day in affiliate marketing, passive income, leveraged through AI and crypto, and you can too, if you just follow my advice. And the number one secret I was just telling everyone about here really is that I watch Thorin's YouTube channel. You should too.
This is going to be my pick'em video for what thankfully has been renamed to the opening stage, as opposed to all that challenger stage, legend stage nonsense of past majors. And obviously back in the day, what was the challenger stage was just the qualifier. So actually even meant people had larger sample size and maybe even got to pump up their stats, farming bad players. Saracen Seawood. Sorry, did I say that out loud? But basically, obviously, now I'm going to do the coin here. Now, I've failed a bunch of times because there's been so many upsets. But let's see if I can get it for this one for PGL Copenhagen. The first ever CS2 major. Obviously, we had 19 in CS2. By the way, I worked the most of them as a primary analyst, 8. Moses actually is going to join me because he's be a primary analyst this one. But this is CS2. Bad luck, Moses. I'm still the king of CS2. So, for CS2, let's get into this one. Now, the key thing to understand about doing the pick'ems for this particular major is they've changed the pick'em system. So remember, the old one had that approach where for the 3-0, you would famously sort of exploit the loophole of the meta that you wouldn't really pick a team that actually is likely to go 3-0, because famously, if they lose one particular game, you'd not only fail that 3-0, but then you wouldn't have had them as one of the teams in the middle that can just go through in any context. And then if they went 3-1 or 3-2, you got screwed and one of your favourites didn't go through. So famously, the meta used to be get all your big favourites in the middle section of just will go through. And then for the 3-0, like I did at PGL Stockholm with FaZe, you pick a team that's probably in outskirts to even go through, but maybe the matchup in the first round or some streaky component, maybe they got big punching power or just good on one map, maybe that means they could fluke it and go 3-0, and you gamble on those ones, you trust that your body's going to get you through, and then you hope you get one of the 0-3s, because obviously 0-3 is really tricky because of who plays who. The meta has changed on this one, boys. First of all, essentially you're just straight up picking the 3-0. So you need to just pick two teams that really will go 3-0. You will not, if one of them loses, you can't put them instead into this middle section here, which is the equivalent of just qualifier. If they go in there and then they don't, and then that team you put in there goes 3-0, unlike the old system, you won't get any points for it. These teams have to be ones that lose at least once. So you want to do two real teams that go 3-0, arguably the two best teams, also look at the matchups. Then you want these teams to really be the ones that are going 3-1. Then you just do these as 0 and 3. But even then, there's a couple of details to note. Like, first of all, you're going to have to go and check. There's a website, I'll link it in the description, that shows you the matchups and lets you do a simulator of if Team A beat Team B, then Team A would play Team D in this match instead of Team A. You can see that. So as a result, you'll get a sense of who actually likely can even be 3-0, because some teams might play each other. Similarly, for 0-3, you want to find teams that aren't actually going to face each other 0-2, and therefore screw your chances for getting 2 there, because you want to try and get essentially every single one of these now. This isn't about hedging your bets, it's about just picking who the best ones are. So we'll start with the 3-0, obviously the best one to start with. I'll do the little rundown of the teams. In terms of who I'm even considering, right, obviously you have to actually be able to win these games. So being as Cloud9 opens up against Ecstatic, I think it's a very good chance they'll win that game. If you look at who they're likely to play, they're likely to play people like Ecstatic, maybe someone like an Amcal or 9 Pandas, maybe they'll play an Ents. So I actually think Cloud9, the key thing for me is, yes, they don't have an AWPer or a real AWPer, but they have such a good squad aside from that. They actually seem quite coherent. They're a team that actually, I mean, I'm always impressed by how close they've been to even beating some of the big names, and I do think they take care of the smaller teams. So I'm actually quite confident this team is going through, and I think you can take them as a 3-0. They're a very strong pick for me. I think all the teams they play, they've got a good chance to beat. Similarly, I think Ents isn't a terrible shout. I think they'll be in the 3-0, the 2-0 match. I don't know if they'll win because they might have to play a Cloud9. My problem with this one is I do like Ents. I think they're a pretty good team. I just don't think they're top 2 at this particular point in time. Like, I actually think on LAN, I think like people like Kylo and Goofy might not be as good. I don't even know where Hades is going to be at. Obviously, they've had a small sample size of tournaments they played at. I'm just a little bit more off on them. The other one I'm favouring is Heroic. I actually think they're a sleeper. It's only the AWPer that I'm not a fan of on this team. I actually think everything else is really good. I think actually there's a team I have going top 8 at this major as a kind of a dark horse. So Cloud9 and Heroic I'm really feeling. Furia, look, people will know. Even though in theory it's on paper got good players, it's never properly made it. Who cares about that Finnish tournament? And I'm sorry, this team can lose to a lot of squads out there. Everyone's telling me Eternal Fire are dope. They finally got the Turkish super team because the Wicadia guy's good, and they've got Woksik, and they've got the Zantares, and they've got all the things you wanted in that dream team. The problem is, I think they're still going to be streaky. So even though I can see why some people actually think they maybe are a chance to make it in the playoffs of this tournament, I think they'll go through, but I don't think they'll 3-0. I think there's a real chance this team could just lose a BO1. And in fact, they're playing the Mongols in the opener. So that in itself, not one to look past. Beyond that, they might play Furia themselves. If they get there, maybe they even have to play Heroic, who I think are better than them. So I don't think they're going to get there myself. In terms of Apex, the problem is, even though the Kakanito guy, I've heard behind the scenes people did think he was a good IGL. This team obviously isn't as dangerous for me as the team that attended the Blast Paris Major. So I don't really see them as a team I'm that scared of. I don't think they're going to 3-0. 9 Pandas, I'm surprised are even here. Fair play. Saw is all right. They're the Portuguese one, remember? I'm not that big a fan. I don't think there's a chance to get 3-0. Pain Gaming's actually pretty bad now. I mean, Skulls was one of their best players. They don't have many more. Imperial isn't the fallen one. It's just a bunch of like throwaway players. They're all right. I don't think they'll go 0-3, but even so, no chance of 3-0. Amcal's not bad. Mongols is actually kind of better than you expect, but probably won't like win the big series. Ecstatic was kind of a shock to be here. Koi, you remember, the like sort of Spanish ones, Mopos, and then a bunch of other players. You have the Romanian player. They're not carrying actual little mix of teams. Legacy is Cold Zero's team, who I don't expect to do much. Lin Vision is the Chinese team, who I also think is just not that good, really. Yeah, so basically, in terms of the 3-0s, I think this one's easy for me. I'm going Cloud9, and I'm going Heroic. How does this work? Cloud9 Heroic. I'm actually pretty confident on these two. I'm liking these two. Then when it comes to the rest of them, I'll do the 0-3 at this point. In terms of who could go 0-3, for me it's between Lin Vision, Legacy. Who else do I think could go 0-3? I don't actually think Mongols can go 0-3. Pain, I'd definitely put them there. I don't think it's impossible 9 Pandas can do it, but I'll give them a break on that one. Sort and Koi, I'm sort of giving a break too, but I guess maybe... Ecstatic people have hyped, but a lot of that was on the internet for me. It's really heavily between Lin Vision, Legacy, Ecstatic, and Pain, I think. I think those are my 4 I'm picking from. So if I look who can play who, I actually think realistically, Lin Vision... The problem is I actually think if they end up playing 0-2, I actually think they can play Pain, and I think they would probably beat Pain. So maybe I have Pain as one of my teams. And then Ecstatic and Legacy would probably be the other matchup if I look at who I have in the simulator playing. And of those ones, I think I'd probably favour Ecstatic to beat Legacy, actually. I'm kind of hating on the Brazilian teams on this one in general at this major. So I think for this one, yeah, I think I'm actually going to take Ecstatic to win. So I think I'll take Legacy. And then for my other one, it's between Lin Gaming and Pain Gaming for me. And I actually think, yeah, screw it. I'm going to say Pain. It's not even that I hate their players or anything. I think Lin Vision will just kind of surprise people. And all they need to be a 1. That's all they need. Or they just need to win this last series. I think that's doable. I'm liking that one overall. Not as confident. I don't watch as much of the bad teams, obviously. When it comes to the middle portion... This is where we can really get busy. Because luckily, since I've already picked this 3-0, Cloud9 and Heroic, I can quite confidently take Ents as one of the teams to progress. I do still think Glaive is very legit. Cuban is fucking super legit. Dika is better than most of the players in this portion of the tournament. Even though I don't expect later in the tournament they can necessarily hold up. I'm guessing one of the 3 of the other 9-9 type players will get it together, probably Hades. In which case, Glaive, Hades and Dika is already 3 players. That's better than most 3 players from these other teams. So I actually think, yeah, you've already got enough there. And the map pool's all right. I think that's good enough for me. In terms of other teams, I will take Eternal Fire. I think the firepower is there. I think it's a canny little squad all in all. Once you go beyond that... See, here's the problem. I'm so scared to take Furia because they've been so underwhelming. But you look at the other squads, are there really that many other teams I can pick ahead of them? Like, when I look down here, I'm already thinking to myself, like, immediately I'm thinking I have to consider Apex. But will they actually get through, though? No, I do still think the quality's there. Like, I think Nork's a very legit player. I actually think some of the pickups were fairly decent. They need a bit of time to bed in sense, but I think it's a pretty legit. Yeah, I'm going to take Apex to go there. I think they're good enough to get through, and they've got definitely a good enough AWPer. And I think actually they haven't been as good as people hoped they would be, but I don't think they're as bad as people are imagining. They're not totally irrelevant like people are implying. Beyond that, I keep having to go back to Furious. I'm going to save Furia for a second and see what I really think. Like, realistically, let me think. Apex, who else would they play? Who else would they play to get through? Yes, because I have Apex being able to play potentially. Like, maybe they'll beat Pain in the opener. I have them losing to Heroic. I think they'll beat Imperial. And then they would play someone like an Amcal or something in the last one. I think they'll win that one. So yeah, I have Apex going through. I'm safe on that one. Who else am I taking though? See, bizarrely, because the Mongols open up against Eternal Fire, who I think they'll probably lose to, but then I have them playing potentially someone like Lin Vision in the lower. I think they'll win that one. Then in the 1-1, they would play someone like Furia. I actually think Furia could probably win that. It's a BO1, remember. Then in the 1-2, they play Imperial, who I think they would beat in a best of 3. And then so in the last best of 3, they play someone like I have them playing Amcal. I think that's doable, actually. That's actually doable. I don't even want to be here. I think that's doable, isn't it? Shouldn't I actually take Mongols? They are a decent enough squad, and they have got a lot of upsets in actual real BO3s. So yeah, I think I'll take them. Screw it. I'll actually say I'm going to take the Mongols. So I've got 2 spots left. Who am I thinking of? Let me look at Furia plays. So Furia opens up against Legacy. Okay, I think they'll win that one, although it's an international, it's a domestic matchup, so there is some potential to be upset. But I think they'll win that one, even though it's a BO1. If they win that one, they play, and my money probably Eternal Fire. I actually think Eternal Fire will beat them if it's a BO1, so I'll say they lose that one and go to the 1-1 game. In the 1-1 game, I have them playing the Mongols, who I think they'll beat. So then they go 2-1 to best of 3. I actually have them at this point playing Ents, so I think they'll probably lose that one, which means they go to 2-2, and I have them in my 2-2 simulator playing Koi. So I actually think they would win a best of 3. So you know what, in that case, it's hard because they're not a good eye test team, but I guess with the how dodgy this field is, I guess I can take Furia. So for my last spot, this is tough because I'm not really a big fan of any of these teams. Like, I think the Ecstatic team, everyone crowing like, oh, Strauss didn't make Ecstatic. What's Ecstatic going to do with this major? You go to Lin Vision, at least old Tai Lu had the power, like the punching power. I don't even have that. Koi, I mean, they're all right. They're all right. I do like Morpahs, but I just don't think the team's good enough all in all to win. It's going to have a hard time with best of 3s. Amcal's not bad. It's obviously the Entropic guys, but again, are they going to win the best of 3s? Probably not if you look in the simulator. I don't think Imperial can. I don't care about them. 9 Pandas, I just don't really give a fuck. I don't think there's many teams they can beat. I guess it's between Saw and Ecstatic. Or is it Saw, Ecstatic, and Amcal? Those are the 3 I'm picking between. I think I'll take Saw then. Fuck it. I'm not even that big a fan of them, but they did look solid. They did actually have some good games. It's obviously a big deal to beat. I'll say they can do it, because if I look who they play, they open against Koi. I actually think they'll win that one, BO1. Then they'd play, I have them playing Ents, I think they'll lose that one. Then I have them potentially playing 9 Pandas. I think they'd win that one in a BO1. Then in the 2-1 game, I have them losing to Eternal Fire. Although, by the way, you have a chance at least in that one. And then the 2-2, I haven't played Ecstatic, and I think they'll actually win. So you know what? It was between Ecstatic and Saw on this one, really, unless I had Amcal, who would have to play the Mongols, could obviously make it. I think I'll take Saw. I don't think there's no universe I'm taking them next round, but I think they can do it. I think they're actually a solid enough team. I think one of the problems at this point is there's a lot of parity, because there's a lot of bad teams, a lot of tier 2, a lot of tier 1.5, a lot of tier 3 teams in potentially in the mix here, and teams where, let's be real, it's just because of their qualifier that they're here. So I actually think if you look at the teams we have, like, I think of these 3 0-1s, one of these I feel like I've got a very good chance for. Similarly for 0-2. So I think I'm going to get one of those, one there's 2. Then if I look over here, I think I'm going to get Eternal Fire, Ents, maybe Apex, that would be 5 already, Furious 6. I don't know about the other, like, there's 3 or 4 I might not get, but I'm actually, for this opening round, I'm actually kind of liking this one, especially if you understand the meta. I do think actually that the meta is pretty legit now. We don't have to fuck around with loopholes. We're just picking the teams who actually should win and get through in this point in time. And I do think, because it's the opening round and there's all the BO1s, there are still a massive amount of fuckery can happen with the 3-0 and the 0-3. But I'm just using the simulator. I would suggest you check it out, just so that, crucially, you don't pick ones for 3-0 that probably meet each other, or 0-3 that probably meet each other. If you want to get the coin, that's the loophole you've got to exploit this time, is who they might play. Obviously, you could go further into the whole map pool angle, but there's not that many best of 3s. So I actually think you can just look who the better team is in the best of 3s. In the best of 1s, maybe you can find the odd angle, but even then you can't always guarantee that they veto correctly. Some people will just veto to Mirage, whether it's their best map or not, or whether it's the opponent's best map. Some people are wacky like that. So yeah, I actually feel pretty good about this one. The next one is the one that's going to be really hard with all the massive names in. So yeah, I'm going to say screw it. That's me. I've locked it in. Obviously, I'll do the next one when it comes available in the pass. Hear me now. Because the thing is, I wouldn't be able to get all the work I do without my brethren, the Mandem, in the Skrilluminati, my Patreon community. Because this video, like all of them on my channel, is kindly supported by Frisky, Matt Pugnatio Rajcula, Ahmed Hadjou, Jensen Goh, Tobias Bernasconi, Animosity, Toucan, Tosh, and you know it, a special thanks always goes out to Jerky's Minion, who always has my back. Would you like to ask a question in my regular AMAs? Do you want to suggest a topic or a guest I could take in my work? Do you want teasers? Find out who the upcoming guests are going to be. Maybe you want to be part of those lengthy esports discussions I do with my top donators. Well, if so, put your money where your mouth is and join the Skrilluminati today, where? Via the Patreon link in the description box below.